Hey everyone, welcome back to Brownlow Books and day 2 of the Weird Week. Today I'm going to talk to you about books that I did not finish this year. Technically I have 2. I'm counting 3. So I'm going to start with the one that I have right here because I have the physical copy of it and I don't have physical copies of the other one. So, Straw into Gold, Fairy Tales Respun by Hilary McKay. As you can see, I still have the bookmark on it. I have not touched it since July. I did not get far, you can see. This is basically short stories of like traditional fairy tales that have been respun and like spun a different way for like kids, I want to say ages 8 to 12. So I thought I'd pick it up as a nice little easygoing thing, but I've read I think 2, maybe 3 of them. I think it's only 2 of them. And I was just kind of like, eh. And so I've just never picked it back up. And so I finally marked it now in December as a DNF. I was just like, I might come back to it later. But for me right now, it's not it. The other one that I've not finished was actually in January of this year. It was on the Canada Reads long list. I picked it up because it sounded interesting. It was called The Spoon Stealer by Leslie Crew. Crew? I think it's Crew. And it was like telling the life story of her after her family like didn't like her anymore, and so she's like reading her memoir to this like writing group. And I was like, this is interesting. And then we hit about a little less than halfway through it, and she was done telling that story and was now like, ooh, I'm gonna go back to my farm in Nova Scotia from England and confront my family and whatever. But like, she's already said that most of her family is dead. So I was kind of like, what the fuck you gonna confront? And my interest just, it was steady and it just went boom. I was just like, I'm not interested. I'm no longer interested. And I've seen a few people post about it where they're like, it kind of peters out near the middle, which is around where I was, so I'm like, that's not great. And then other people who are like, oh, I loved it, I loved this, I loved that about it. And I was just like, I don't know if I ever want to give it another try. I feel like it's maybe I got out of it what I wanted out of it, and that's it. Like, the part where she's recounting her young life, because she's in her like 60s, when she's recounting her young life to her writing group, I was like, this is really interesting. I sobbed. I literally sobbed. Like, that's how heartfelt and touching that part was. And then it was just kind of like, I'm no longer interested. Like, just immediate drop off. So, could I come back to it in the future? Maybe. I marked down where I was in it in case I wanted to. Maybe. So the one that I am including in here that was not actually from this year, it feels like it was from this year. It was late last year, so I'm going to include it. And that was Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West by Cormac McCarthy. No. If you've been here a while, you know it's not really my kind of thing, but it was a book club pick. And I give my book club picks that like my friends have picked, I give it the best fucking shot I can. This was too much. It was juvenile in its writing style, which people say is the charm of it online, which I do not understand at all. It was bloody and gory and just like the horrible things that man can do to each other without like caring literally at fucking all, and animals and like fucking God knows what else. Because it is a Western, but it's like a dark Western. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's what a Western is. But I was just like, and it was just so weird because I'm like, it's just so not descriptive. And then my book club people were like, it's very descriptive. And I'm like, it's descriptive of a landscape. And that's really the only thing I'm enjoying about it is the description of the land. And then 2 seconds later, we're scalping an Indian. Like, no. We're, throwing a cat on a fucking fence. And I'm like, no. Like, it was just one after another too much. It's just altogether too much. I don't even know how far into it I made. I don't think I even made it maybe 20%. And I was, that's not fair. I literally don't know. It was an ebook. I have literally no way of tracking it. But yeah, I was just like, fuck no, I'm not fucking doing this. And so the person who picked it likes horror. And so she's like, that's why I picked it. And she's like, I'm going to do a little more research next time, because she was like, this is just like the horrors of humanity and I wanted something supernatural. And I was like, okay. Not going to read either of them, but it's fine. But yeah, that one for me was just not it. And the discourse about it online, like I looked up so many reviews and I like searched in all my book groups for it, and I was just like, I want to see what people are saying about this book, because like it reads like some like 14-year-old kid is like, oh, look at the beautiful area I'm in, I'm setting a scene, look at this, and then it's just like, and then I cut off this guy's head. It's just like immediate, like the immediate gratification of like something horrible and violent and bloody, and it's just like, and everyone's like, that's how he writes. And I'm like, then how is he popular? Fucking hated it. Have I hated a book as much as I've hated that book? Of ones that I've DNF'd, that's probably the most I've hated of a book that I've DNF'd. For sure. 100%. Because when I DNF things, it's usually because I'm finding it boring, or I've gotten out of it what I think I'm going to get out of it and I don't want to go any farther. And this was just like, bleh. Like, no, it's too much. Too much. There's been times where I've been triggered and so I DNF'd a book. I didn't get triggered by this by any means. It was just literally like, what is the point of this story? Like, it's not moving forward in any kind of plot whatsoever. It's just this guy randomly wandering about the US. Like, what is happening? Tell me where it's going so that I might be interested and keep reading. But, like, for now, no. And I was definitely not the only one in my book group that did not read it. Someone actually enjoys his writing from, I forget what this, on the Road? Is that the name of his book? One of his other books, The Road? She was like, I like that. Or no Country for Old Men? It was one of these things. She's like, I read that and I enjoyed it, so I thought this would be fine. And she's like, I didn't like it either. And I'm like, okay. Not just me. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I have DNF'd in the past year. I'm usually not a big DNFer. As you know from my series, Worst Books I've Ever Read Cover to Cover, I will hate read a book. I will do it. I can't complain about it unless I've read the entire thing, is usually my thought process. I need to be able to tear it apart point by point. These 2 of these I just found boring, and one of them I was just like, this is fucking god-awful. So, I mean, and like the other 2 I said I might come back to, I will never ever come back to Blood Meridian. It's not a thing. Not a thing. So that's it for my DNF roundup of the year. Make sure you come back tomorrow while I continue my week of weirdness. I've called it a different thing every time I've said it. It's fine. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you around next time.